All right guys, back again with another video. Today is July 12th. Gonna be looking at the patch today, seeing what's going on, checking out some pumpkins. So let's get into it. All right, so this plant closest to me is the 785 Schmidt. So it's the 785.5 Schmidt, grown last year, I believe. Grown hydroponically, which is pretty cool. Mike Schmidt does a really nice job doing that. Really great grower. This plant here is my 1211 Johnson that I grew last year. I don't know if you guys recall, but what was supposed to be here was supposed to be the Sherwood seed. So I believe it was like the 24 something Sherwood. That seed didn't germinate for me. Other seeds did. So unfortunately I went with my Johnson. So my seed from last year, both are doing great. Plants taken over, so we're gonna be putting up a fence here, a little bit of windbreak. Been pretty lazy doing that, but it's time. Need to keep the boonies out and anything else that's digging, probably the squirrels. So the rest of the plant is doing really well. So as you can see, the leaves are pretty solid. There's a little bit of wind damage here, but nothing too crazy. But then you get into where I had the hail, and then it transitions off pretty quickly. So it's been pretty nice. Plant's doing really well. There's the leaves. So you can see the crazy transition between lettuce and salad. So this is here. This is doing really well. The secondaries are doing really well. I did make it. I was cutting some stuff off, and right here, took my knife and gashed it off pretty good. So hopefully that heals up. These plants can do amazing things. I'll show you something else. Most people, when they crack a vine, they just remove it because they think it's gonna break. But this vine broke in the hailstorm, and it's healed up for the most part. There's still tissue in here feeding whatever is there, and then obviously these have rooted in. So that's, I mean, it's only a couple feet, but nonetheless, it still survived. So don't give up on it. Just a little hint. Let's go over here. So about a week ago, a week ago today, we had a pollination. So this is technically 7 days after pollination. Not too big, not too small, but 7 days old. I think we're doing okay. Let me know what you guys think. So that's what we got there. And then this pumpkin here was pollinated a couple days ago. So you got that starting to root in. And then this morning, gonna make a little reel about it. This one was pollinated here. So I'm definitely gonna have to get rid of this, but the way I want this pumpkin set up is I want this S-shaped turn in here. I had a pumpkin there. It didn't. It had hail damage. It had other damages. So I lost a couple pumpkins. I think there was one here and then one here. Yeah, right in there. And then I had this one. So then there's another one in the tip here. So what I'm gonna try and do is making this S-shaped turn so I can actually, have a decent location for the pumpkin to grow. And then it'll be easier to pull the pumpkin forward or back, depending on who you're talking to. But so this plant here is the 1211 Johnson, and this one here is a 785 Schmidt. The 785 Schmidt was pollinated with the 1211 Johnson, and then this pumpkin here was pollinated with the 785 Schmidt. So we get a cross on both pumpkins, so they both have the nice orange genetics. Be interesting to see what they both look like. Should be orange. This yellow color should tell me it's gonna be orange. It'd be really cool to see some ribs. I don't think I've ever seen that this early for me, so that'd be really cool to see. What else is here? So I know you can't tell, but so this is the main vine. So the main vine goes this way, and then these vines go up and they kind of waterfall this way. So this vine here is from, I believe, my 1211 Johnson. That vine goes this way and it goes right into there. So I'm just waterfalling this up. I'm gonna eventually terminate this, just like I terminated some of the vines over here. So I terminated a couple, like the main secondaries that were back here, terminated them over there. And then once I terminate those, then these will, you know, I got a little secondary here. I think it's actually tertiary, honestly. So I got this tertiary filling in. I think it's tertiary, let's check. Yep, coming off the secondary, so that's the tertiary. That's gonna fill in this spot, which I kind of need filled in. I'm gonna terminate this. I prefer to let them grow and then terminate back. So let them grow out a little bit so that plant gets, or that leaf gets established, and then terminate. Same thing I'll do over here. I will let them grow to basically that wall that's gonna be there, because there's gonna be a wind protection, and then terminate it. That way the plant leaf gets developed. Let's see here. So yeah, these guys here, you can kind of tell they're coming from over here, so they'll get terminated. I still need this as a walking path. I know, guys, I haven't really, you know, got the boards out, but I'll take my pickle fork and I'll fork them and make sure that the ground's fluffy around it. So basically we're just doing vine maintenance, vine bearing, managing pollinations, and trying to grow the biggest pumpkin. So everything's looking pretty good. Let's get over to the winter squash and then the other pumpkins that we got. This guy right here is the winter squash from Cardwell Farms. Doing much better than it was. Secondaries are still kind of slow, but it is rooting. See those roots? So got a little squash there. Probably won't do anything with that, but nonetheless, it's still doing okay. We'll see how it goes. Here we got the Carter. It's the green squash. Secondaries are struggling. Plants still struggling. But here we got a little bit of decent growth, which is nice. Starting to bury some of the vines, but the secondaries just aren't really going. You can kind of see the old hail damage. It just really hasn't put on much growth in the secondary. So that's the Carter. I believe it was a 1098 Carter, if I remember correctly. But today's this isn't my year for squash, but I'm hoping next year I don't keep them in the pots nearly as long as I did. So I think that's mainly the main culprit. But let's get over to the Ford. This is the Ford plant. Doing really well. It's putting on some really good growth. So it's the 1323 Ford. This one popped off the main vine for Jim. He took it to a early way off and got his way up there. So I have a feeling it's going to be a really nice orange pumpkin. You can still see some of that hail damage on some of the plants, but we do have a pumpkin there, so we'll probably pollinate it. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of plant behind the pumpkin, I should say, but it'll fill in. It looks like it's doing well. Once everything starts rooting in, all the secondaries start rooting in, we're gonna do much better. But it is putting on some good growth. So we'll pollinate that probably with, I'm thinking the 1211, but part of me wants to, you know, Jim Ford and Mike Schmidt, they like to joke around and cast shade at each other. So what more to bring them together and pollinate the pumpkins. So I'm thinking gonna be pollinating the Ford pumpkin with the Mike Schmidt pumpkin, and hopefully they don't fight over who has the better genes. But this is the plant that we got with the Ford. It's probably 12 feet long. I was hoping the secondaries would be much further back than that. So that's what we got today, and I'll just be bearing pumpkins vines and pitchforking to make sure that everything is looking the best. So like, comment, subscribe. I should be posting this video probably later today. Maybe shoot some other reels or something like that. So let me know how you like it. Let me know where you're at. Let me know if you've had a bad season or a good season. Love to hear from you if you've waited this long in the video. So happy you guys are here. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for the likes. And we'll be back at another video sometime soon.